excuses for no reason.
Right.
Oh, are we recording?
Yeah, of
Wow.
course. I just turned it on.
Never see it when it happens.
It's so good. It just starts.
You really did see it when it happened. We
Did
didn't miss
not.
too much.
Yeah.
Did not.
Did I incriminate myself yet?
No.
No.
You just said lie down, which
You
could
can
be
delete.
interpreted as kind of...
Was that? Did that sound like
You
a
said
command?
lie
Was that-
Yeah, it did sound like a command.
No.
Say.
He thought I was being a therapist.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
we're
right,
gonna
right.
dive into your past for different reasons.
Right. Go for it.
This
I don't
is
know.
Sessions
Look.
with Mary Jane. I'm Reena Ezra.
I'm Brendan O'Brien.
And I'm Jordan Freed, and we are joined by a local legend, for sure, in the Hudson Valley and Rockland County comedy scene. He may have officiated a wedding that you've been at as well, because he also brings people in love together, along with tearing them apart with humor. We are here with the unimitable John Wendel.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. That is the best introduction I've had on a podcast all day.
Oh,
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
No, that was fantastic.
Jordan took a lot of care with the adjective he chose. Because like sometimes you can rush right into amazing, phenomenal, great, but he was
Right.
like, wait, was it
I can never even
And then
simulate.
Yeah. Did you eat a thesaurus today?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna in the edit just like cut and paste the word.
And by the
seabird.
way, for anyone listening to that assumes like Jordan wrote that intro over the course of weeks. No, he winged it and nailed it like that.
No,
Oh,
yeah, that was
unbelievable.
just made up on the spot.
Off the top.
Everything is off the cuff. The only writer on this show is marijuana.
All right.
That's right, yeah.
Marijuana getting full points
Yes,
for this
yes.
later on in
Marijuana
syndication.
Cannabis Jr.
Yes. She
Wow.
gets all the
Head
credit.
writer.
Well, thank you. Yeah, no, thank you for being on the show, for agreeing to do this, and just
My pleasure.
Yeah.
just smoking a bong with us.
Where did you travel from today? Where is your location, home-wise?
I live in Nyack, New York. If I don't give my exact address, you'll understand.
Mhm.
But if you come
Cool.
there and look for me, probably find me. It's not a big town.
It's a
But,
wonderful place.
I love Nyack. Yeah, we
Cute
love-
village. I mean, I'm there only because that's where my wife said we were moving one day. So
Mhm.
that's and that's so not too far away
How long you been in
from
Nyack?
Rutherford. I've been there for probably, and I apologize for not studying my own life before the show because these are tough cards. I can answer more about Jordan's life than my own. I'm going to be off by 5 to 20 years right now. No, I've been there probably about maybe 10 years in total. We bought our
good chunk
house
of
in Upper
time.
Nyack like 4 years ago. So
Wow.
yeah. So yeah, I've been there a little bit. I'm originally from Long Island, so
Whoa,
you know,
what part?
adjusted to the upper state situation.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm from Suffolk County, Long Island.
Whoa,
so,
that's where my mom is from.
No way.
Yeah.
It's not a
Shirley.
conspiracy. Shirley? She's from Shirley, or that's her name?
Yeah, no.
Or you're
she's from
positive
Shirley.
she's from Long Island?
Her
That
name's
could go a lot of
Shirley, and
ways.
she's from
Yeah.
Shirley.
Yeah, she's deep into Long Island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, everyone I've ever met who's from Long Island either like really loves it or they hate the shit out of it. Which camp would you say you fall into?
So I got out early enough. I actually left Long Island when I went to college at 18. I never really fully came back. Like I'd come back in the summers, and then I moved in with my now very ex-wife right after that. So outside of Long Island. So I at the time loved it and would talk a bunch of shit like everyone else. I'd be like, Billy Joel would kick Bruce Springsteen's ass, you know, like all the rest of them. Like, you know, like start spouting off facts about the Hamptons, you know, like I was cool. Where I didn't live anywhere near it, but
reference The Great Gatsby. Be like, yeah, that's Long Island.
yeah, but then after a few years away and like living in a few different places and seeing how civilized people behave, I realized, you know what, people from Long Island have their head up their ass. So while I have an affinity for it and a love as it's where I'm from,
Yeah.
the people are 3/4 dog shit, if I can say that. They're not. I hope you don't have a big contingent of listeners in Long Island, but most of them are nodding along, going, we're total dog shit.
Right.
Or they think they're in the 25%.
What's the other quarter though? Is that just like people who are not dog shit?
Just my family. No, and even them, to be fair, often belong in the other category. But I think there's people. The other people are ones that probably also had experience off Long Island enough to be like, all right, I got a little perspective in the world. We're not like the top shit, ever. So my mother's the worst. My mother, who is 700. No, she's like 70 right now or 68. She's gonna kill it. I think she's 69. But she only has left Long Island ever to pretty much like visit us or visit someone else briefly, and then immediately back. And every time we see her, she just spouts off how specifically better things are on Long Island. Like if we have a bagel, it's like, well, our bagels are better on Long Island. I'm like, I'll give you that one. I'll give you bagels and like shellfish. That's what you get that. But what else is and it's everything. It could be drinking seltzer and she'll be the seltzer on Long Island. It's different than this.
Yeah.
You probably don't have the brand we have. I'm like, it's not. It's not in South America. It's not hard
it's
to
a
get.
Competition.
Yeah, I'm just like, all right, well, I'm glad. Enjoy your bubbly water.
Yeah. What is it about Long Island that makes people have that kind of, I guess, pride, you can call it, or just like the self love of themselves?
I think it's being sort of geographically segregated a little bit. They are an island after all, so I think that again, a lot of people don't leave the island as if it's like Gilligan's Island. They just don't leave. But yeah, and so I think that like if you don't ever leave where you are and you're pretty much around a lot of other people that mostly their whole world is within this couple 100-mile radius, that you tend to get some maybe that pride or that sort of nationalism, Long Island nationalism, right? It's like white nationalism, but on a nice beach house. That's basically what's going on down.
Yes.
What was your relationship with New York City as a kid?
Sexual. No, it was primarily. No, it was my relationship with everything as a older kid. Anyway, I don't want to get creepy, but yeah. Anyway, it was, I didn't get to the city a lot as a little kid. We'd go in. Actually, when I was like 3 or 4, we'd go into the city quite a bit, and then not for years after. And the reason I'd get in there a lot when I was 3 and 4. Is because we had a neighbor whose daughter was my age, and she was when she was a little baby and a toddler, she was in commercials. She was in like a handful of like national commercials too, and my mother thought, wow, that's amazing, and the neighbor was like, you should get your daughter, and she thought it would be great, what fun, go to the city and have her be a model. And of course, my dad was like, "What's the check look like?" Right? Like it ain't nothing, right? So he was like, "Yeah, no, she should definitely be a model. That's good for her." So we would go in for like these auditions with a bunch of crying babies, and like sit out in the hallway for 3 hours while crying babies were auditioning for like to be in the background of like a frickin' Stouffer's stuffing commercial or something. And and my sister, by the way. End result. 2 of my sisters went through this. None of them ever got a commercial. Like 2 of them were called back to audition again and leave. So my relationship early on with the city was like being dragged on the train to go to the city to sit around and listen to crying babies. So when I was
it hasn't changed.
No, right. When I became a teenager and adult and I go there by myself, it was like not always a positive. I was like, well, if I can go there, isn't there just a bunch of crying babies? Like, isn't that how that works? Then we get a slice of pizza.
There's like a baby and pizza quota that you have to meet whenever you go into the city.
I went in there. I was like, where are all the crying babies? I don't understand.
Yes. Well, John, speaking of New York, you have a challenge coming up that you will be challenged to take, and the challenge is yours to take if you'd like. So the challenge is...
It's a challenge? Do I have that right?
There will be a challenge. How challenged you are.
Okay.
It's more challenging getting the challenge out.
Yeah. This is very challenging already.
It's all part of the strategy. So you must name, because we are aware that you are a Mets fan, a New York Mets fan.
Yes.
So you must name as many, if not all, of the Major League and Minor League Baseball teams.
All of them? Wow. Okay.
You name as many as you can name.
Why does that sound so daunting?
The guy who's gotten the
oh, now I'm going to be challenged. My manhood's about to be challenged.
No. I'm just saying that there's a range. Some people have gotten 0, or one team's gotten 0. Sometimes we have people who are head on, and the highest score we've gotten, people have gotten on their own list, not the same list as yours. Their own list that they were assigned 92. 91?
91, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if it was like, name foods, I'd be good. I'd get you
just general foods.
380, right?
Yes.
But, all right, so baseball teams. So just, all right, so minor league baseball teams, probably like 1 billion of them. So I can name maybe a handful, but like Major League teams, let's see. I'm going to go, we'll start in the National League East. We got the Mets, the Braves, the Phillies, the Nationals,
Go
and
for
the
that
Marlins.
division. Yeah, that National League division.
So we got the whole National League East. And Mike, I'm going to miss something. But all right, then we got, let's go Cardinals, Pirates, Brewers. Cardinals, Pirates, Brewers. Let's go, who am I missing? Diamondbacks, Arizona Diamondbacks. Let's do the Colorado Rockies. Let me get those teams out of the way. Now I'm moving all over the place and I'm like, forget where I was. Okay. The Dodgers. Tell me if I'm going too fast. The Giants. SF in the house. The Dodgers, Giants. Dodgers, Giants. San Diego Padres. Flying a drone in my head right now.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if
He's thinking of all the teams that have beaten the Mets over the years too.
Over the last week.
Yeah.
So that's you're right. If I put myself in a sad or let me remember the beatings, then I'll think of them quicker.
Yeah.
So,
When did you get into baseball or like liking the Mets or just had like that?
that I got into early. Again, probably a Long Island thing. My father was a big Mets fan, and so growing up, and so he would take me to games. And when I was growing up in the 1800s, no, the Mets were like late 70s, early 80s when I was growing up. Like the Mets were so awful that it would be very easy to get tickets to any game like 5 minutes before the game and get good seats. So it was like so I went to quite a few games as a kid, and I just kind of fell in love with them from there.
Yeah, is Long Island like Mets territory, or
more so than Yankees, just because they're in Queens and the proximity, but. It's fairly close, but there's probably, I would guess there's a few more Mets fans than Yankees fans on Long Island specifically.
Yeah.
Especially as you get closer to Queens. But yeah, it's been, I'm just attracted to misery.
So is that how you got into comedy?
That's how I got that all. By the way, if you had me keep going on the list.
Oh, you
can go anytime. You can interrupt the conversation.
Okay, I didn't know that rule. I didn't know if the timer
yes.
go off
Yeah.
and like that. Or if they're I thought they were like, you're so boring at listing things that they have to stop you immediately.
This is a fun thing to do.
She'll always have the pad over there.
Oh yeah.
So what was the last question?
It was something
your comedy, just your misery. You said attracted to the misery.
Yeah.
So you've been doing.
She was
comedy
like, "You won't be speaking for me. I'm just going to answer my own."
You've been doing stand-ups specifically for how long?
And thank you for saying that, because of course I've been doing comedy since the womb. But I've been doing stand-up for about 10 years, I think. Which you're young enough to think, wow, that's a long time. People live that long. But yeah, to me it feels like it's been 2 minutes. But yeah, 10 minutes. But definitely like some breaks in there where I had like about a 3.5 year period where I probably got on stage 5 times. And I've had a couple of the years where it wasn't much more than that. But yeah, overall since when I started, it's about 10 years.
I met him a little after he started, and then he's known me for a third of my life.
Yeah. Right. Wow. Hey, come on over and we'll make you feel older.
Wow.
So yeah.
What was the attraction for you?
To Jordan? Well,
yeah, you say yours, I'll say mine.
He was 16. That was mine.
I met him at CB's, but he was a Jester's champ for sure, right?
Man, that was that stage in the comedy career where I'm like, I assume next week I'm going to be on Conan, or it was like, and then you realize 3 years later, like, oh no, you sucked still, you're just a little bit okay, but yeah, I remember meeting Jordan, man. We were at one of those open mic shows or whatever, and here was this young guy, like, I don't know, 16, with that smooth skin.
Still pretty smooth, honestly.
That Tom Cruise smile, you're still rocking there, Dimples. But anyway, no, and I remember Jordan just doing one-liners that were like clever, like, and some of them, and with one-liners, it's always like they either hit right or they're flat, and of course he had both. So just like watching a young kid up there. like doing great, bombing, doing all in one set, and then like still coming back the next time. I was like, that's balls.
Yeah.
I didn't have that at 16. I didn't start comedy till I was in my late 30s till I got the balls to do it.
Yeah. So what was the thing that got you over the hump and got you to eventually just do it?
Yeah. So it was really. Oh man, I'd hate to do something nice and credit my wife.
Do it.
Well, all right. Make sure I get a clip of just this part, so I can tell. I'll be like, it was pretty much all like that the whole podcast, honey.
Yes.
Praising you, but here's the highlight.
We'll just make an hour and a half of that.
Yeah, right.
Over and over.
Can you just we do an extra hour after where I'm just being like, she's just amazing. It's hard to explain, but it's a miracle, and I don't question it. But yeah, no, she, like everyone else in comedy, usually you're the funny guy in the group of friends and all that. And you're the funny guy, but figuring out how to translate that to do it in front of people was not something I thought about, but never really came close to doing. I just thought that's not, you don't just do that one day.
Mm-hmm.
And then, my wife and I were watching a couple different stand-up comics on TV. And I remember at one point my wife just being like, you're just as funny as that guy. Like, you've told me stories from high school or this or that are hilarious. You've been at dinner in front of people telling a story and you're just knocking people down. Like, you just need to figure out a little bit about how to do it in front of people, like on the stage and all that. And I was just like, I don't know, maybe, but it sparked something. And then she found a comedy class thing and like bought me like this comedy class thing in the city at Gotham Comedy Club. And I was like, wow, now I kind of have to go do that.
Wow.
And for me, it worked. Like, a lot of people talk shit about comedy classes. It works for some, doesn't work for. It's like whatever works for you. But for me, what worked was not so much even that I was learning a whole lot doing it, but just it forced me to go 8 Sundays in a row to a place and do a thing. Because I'm famous for like, I want to join karate, and I throw one punch, and I'm like, I quit. That was good. Go on to the tennis. Let's buy all the rackets, and then fuck that after the first serve. So, but yeah, it forced me to do it, and I just, first time on stage, talking into a microphone and getting a group of strangers to laugh at what I said. That was it. That was the heroin. That's the smack. And then that's it. Then
Is it hard to discipline yourself of like to go to open mics often, or do these shows a lot, or do you like, or you, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm listening, and I'm just like, the answer is certainly yes, but I'm just like, into every detail you give me. But yeah, so it's like, I've always had a hard time with that, like with self-discipline. Now I need to lie down on the couch, right?
Yes.
I think it stems from being a child.
The lying down begins now. Everyone lie down.
Were you always creative as a kid, or like you started with you're just like, no, practical science mind?
Yeah. No, I think I'm a bit of both, but no, I was always creative more than anything, and always like, the class clown, or just wanting to get a laugh from people. I think that's, often comes from those before you, and that was my dad, was always cracking, wisecracks and just sort of trying to make people laugh, often in a insulting, demeaning Don Rickles, but not even funny dad. Why'd you talk like kind of way? But what was the question? No, but yeah, so it was that kind of just came from that, and then it's always was just about trying to make other people laugh. Like, I thought that translated to value, to me. And I think Chris Rock talked about that when we were chilling at his mansion.
You're in Jersey now.
Is it one of your comedians you admire?
Yeah, I love how you choose your words. Like, I'm not going to say idol. But I like that. Like, I definitely,
because not everybody views them as idols or heroes or people to actually look up to.
Right, but in the sense that like it's someone you value or seek to emulate because of that piece of it. But and I agree with that too. Not everybody, an idol sounds too all encompassing. Like, you don't idolize someone's entire being. You might idolize their stand-up performance in the way that I idolize that in the sense that that's like, wow, that's where you want to be. That's what in terms of just that hour on stage. So, but someone like Chris Rock, I mean, he's a top 10 top 10 for sure, and definitely someone I've definitely never sat through an hour of him and not laughed. That way, right?
True.
He's great.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever not laughed at his stuff.
Yeah, because he always like is like generally entertaining, and he always like, and he's like one of like the best in terms of like the way he talks and like his like delivery is like very very unique. You always like you can hear Chris Rock talking and know exactly it's Chris Rock immediately.
Yeah, the voice, the persona, his stagecraft is amazing. I mean, he's been doing it for so long since he was a baby, you know. So, but yeah, I mean, he's just got it. He's just one of those like a 300 hitter in baseball. You know, he's just got it.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
Wow, bringing it back to baseball.
Yeah, I did that for you. I wanted to bring it.
Yes.
And speaking of the list, can I throw out a few more real quick?
Yes.
All right, where was I? All right, so let's go with Houston Astros, Texas Rangers. Notice my strategy. Now I'm going by state.
Well, you're going to the South.
So
I'm just going to start making up teams. No one knows that. You know, the Memphis Blue Jags.
We have Google.
No, we're going to verify this later. Hey, it's no faker than my vaccine passport that I showed George.
$500. It's quite an investment.
He even looked at it and he was like, that doesn't look exactly like mine. But, all right, so what else we got? We got the Cincinnati Reds. I think I said the Pirates already earlier. Yeah. Cincinnati Reds. We got the Cleveland Indians, since I'm in Ohio. We got Boston Red Sox. We got the New York Yankees. Cleveland Indians. Who else is over there? The Tampa Bay Devil Rays. And the Baltimore Orioles. And the Seattle Mariners, Minnesota Twins, the Oakland A's, Athletics, if you wish.
It wasn't athletic. Is it just an athletic person? Is that what their mascot is? Just a really big dude?
They were very simple back then. You know, it's like, hey, what's going on? They're like, I don't know. These guys are athletic. Like, there we are with the athletics. You know, and you just go like this.
Honestly, there's so much effort that goes into like the whole like thing with like mascots and whether they like hold up in the culture. And like when they made these mascot names, they probably did it so carelessly. They're like, I don't know, the fucking Colorado Rockies, whatever. I don't know.
The mascots are so fun.
They are fun.
They're so fun.
Yeah, it's fun to watch them race. I don't know. That's just like one of my favorite parts about sports. Just watch them on the field doing those races. Yeah.
Yeah, for the hockey, who's the one that had a new mascot that sucks ass? That's terrible. Everybody Flyers. Flyers mascot.
What
right?
is it? A puck?
No. It's
So is it a flyer?
Yeah. It's like
this
ad for a comedy show.
It looks like it should be on Yo Gabba Gabba. Like it's just this weird looking. I don't know. I don't think they like it, but.
Speaking of mascots, anybody who's a Mets fan needs to know about the Noah Syndergaard Mr. Met drama. I don't know if you know anything about this.
I mean, I know he just tested positive for COVID.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, 2 days ago, and he's was rehabbing to come back from his surgery. But I have a feeling you're going to tell us something way worse. What did he do?
Noah Syndergaard fucks Mrs. Met.
What?
Yeah, this is like
you said that with such authority.
Where? What is your source? Where did you get this?
This is a very public.
I am Mrs. Met. Like that's how authoritatively you said it.
He met Mrs. Met in a hallway, and she told him the story.
I filmed it. Like, what was going on?
If you have a Twitter, you should really look this up. You could search Mrs. Met, Mr. Met, Noah Syndergaard, and it is actually very. Very heated. Mr. Met has trouble doing his job, I think, because he's so pumped by.
That's great.
Wow.
Mrs. Met and Noah Syndergaard.
Thor is giving her the hammer. I love it.
His wife.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Or terrible.
It like crosses the line. Like Noah Syndergaard has said some very iffy things online.
Right.
Yeah. You can follow his Twitter account at your own risk, I guess.
Now I will. If I don't already, I don't know. I'm hardly ever on Twitter.
So I vaguely just seeing the headlines. What's the whole thing going on with the Mets now? With they're flipping off their fans, or what's going on?
That started. I think that's already ended today because I think upper management was drop that shit. But yeah, they got a couple of them got the idea that since New York fans are tough, and when your teams don't play well, they boo you. So the Mets fans booing the Mets who are playing like shit lately. and poop, if this is G-rated. They so Javi Baez and Francisco Lindor came up with this brilliant idea that since they were getting booed with thumbs down when they were like losing, that when they win, they were going to give it back to the crowd, kind of like thumbs down to the crowd when they're winning. And the funny thing about it is, of course, the Mets brass has come down and been like, we need to stop that. You know, like the fans are the fans. You're getting paid millions of dollars to play a game. Like, maybe take it. You know, whatever. I don't care if they're throwing stuff at you. Like, you're getting $15 million to play catch. But, you know, let them boo you. But ever since they started doing it, the Mets haven't lost a game, like 3 in a row.
There you go.
So I'm thinking, like, no, let them do it.
Negative reinforcement works sometimes.
Right.
I guess you just gotta like boo people until they do what you want.
Reverse psychology, brother.
You do kind of need that energy a little bit, I think. Championship teams can't really win without it.
That's right.
Like, they need to have a storyline behind it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you believe the conspiracy theories that I'm about to dish onto you. But I have a conspiracy theory that all sports teams are planned to win based off of like a cultural event. So like the sports teams are like paying back a city for something that's happened to them, or somebody that's in the news that's the most relevant.
Well, the Yankees lost in 2001, so that was some bad writing right there.
Maybe they're terrorists. You didn't think of that.
Mm-hmm.
Also, aliens were in Arizona, but that's a different story.
When? Where?
I mean, you're not ready to hear it, but
I'm not. When will I be ready? Do you know?
I don't know.
It's confidential.
Let's go with last year. Who won all the championships last year?
LeBron.
The Milwaukee
Bucks won the NBA.
And what was the most significant?
And the Tampa Bay Bucks won in the NFL. The Bucks won, and the Bucks won.
Yes. Wow.
Wow.
$2.
The buck stopped there.
Wow. This is like some coded language right here.
It's crazy. It's all written inside of a $1 bill, I think.
Yeah.
Inside, so like you go within the paper.
Well, we don't have the technology yet to read in between paper.
Right.
One sheet, but we will.
True.
As soon as the Mets win the World Series.
Right, and then it all comes together.
All right, let's move on from conspiracy theories to something that's actually real.
You were worried that we were scared.
Let's talk about cryptocurrency.
Oh my god.
We are looking for some financial tips from now.
Thanks, you guys are doing well. What do you need financial tips for?
No, we want to hear about your takes on cryptocurrency, because you are a avid poster about cryptocurrency.
I have my moments. I would, first of all, as a disclaimer, would just say no one should ever follow my advice on anything.
But then should they follow this advice of you saying don't follow?
Yeah.
Right. That's the conundrum. That is the paradox. You must figure that out, young children. But yeah, in fact, if you just lived a life where your only philosophy was do the opposite of what I did, you'd get it right 80% of the time. You'd be like, wow, I'm rich. But I started just dabbling in crypto. I'm no expert by any means, or even fully novice. Mm-hmm. But a few years ago, and this is like my luck, I started looking into crypto, Bitcoin and stuff, and I was like, you know what? Everyone's jumping on this Bitcoin train. Maybe I'll do it. And I wasn't sure. I kind of dragged my feet. And then it was skyrocketing in like 2017 or 2018. I don't remember when.
Yeah,
it was like skyrocketing towards the end of the year. And it went from like $8,000 to like $19,000 something dollars. And I was like, and then I read like an article that said someone was predicting it's going to be 100,000 by the end of the following year. I was just like, wow, I'm jumping in, So I put a few dollars in there at like $19,000. And then it was almost like Bitcoin went, what? Who invested? All right, let's turn this ship around. and from there, it just went down and down. Like I didn't even get a moment to be like, oh, it's 21,000. No, It was the next day. It was like 18, 8, 17, 15. So it took a dive. So then as a smart investor, and this is where, you want to really understand not to take my advice. It went down to like 7,000. And I was like, maybe I should get out. But then it like went up to like 9,000. And I was like, now I'm getting out. It's like bumped back up a little bit real quick to get out. And then like a couple months later, it was 19,000 after I sold it at 9. I was like, I don't think I did that right. I think I'm doing it wrong. Yeah. And then so not too long ago, I got back into crypto. Right when Ethereum was going nuts, got in, bought a bunch of Ethereum and a couple other coins, and then that took a dive. But that I've rode out, and it's kind of come back, so I'm around even. So like, I'm poor is what I'm getting at. So don't be like me. But I've taken I've gotten a little more into it this time around, where I've gotten a little more trying to learn about it a little more and sort of studying some charts and being a little smarter about actually having like a strategy and not being like, oh, it's going up, buy, it's going down, sell. Like that wasn't really working. That really wasn't working out so well. But yeah, I don't have much in there. It's like 2.6 million. So, no, it's chump change. It's just a little.
It's college fun.
All right, another coin, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does feel like a game though. That's the hard thing. Is not treat it like a game because like it's like feels very flashy, and especially like once you can get on your phone, like it's like so crazy that at one point it was not as easy as it is to trade any of this stuff, and now it's like very very accessible. Yeah,
it's like texting Wall Street.
Yeah,
Mr. Wall Street, give me some of that. It's like if you could do that, but now you pretty much can. It's just. You don't even have to be there. You can just go to sleep and set your app to buy and sell at different prices.
I am kind of curious about that because, you literally could, if you're good enough at day trading, just like sit here and day trade.
Oh yeah, a lot of people do it.
House.
Yeah, I know a few people that do it.
Yeah, damn.
My wife tried to get me to do it. She's like, "You'd be figuring," and I'm like, I'm not going to do that because I'm going to screw it up.
Yeah.
And then every day you're going to be like, oh, how was work? And we're like, I lost us more money.
How was yours?
How much you make today? 200. I lost us 1,200. Want to go out to eat? Add budget.
Yeah. If you did come into a like crazy sum of money, what's the first thing that you would buy?
I assume you mean after the night at a brothel. No. A high class. No. What's the first thing I would buy? What's the dollar amount?
Like,
I need an amount because $1 million is a different answer than $1 billion.
I was gonna say like if you're like $50 million.
Like $50 million.
It's also you open your bank account and you were like, all right, let me see if I have enough for this month, and then you're like, holy shit, I have $50 million in here.
I would spend it. I wouldn't want to be one of those people that would call the bank and be like, I think you made a mistake. I would spend it and be like, all right, how do I get it back to you?
I'm just putting it back in the economy anyway.
It's like I have a house in the Key West. And I guess you can take that. I don't know. But
that's how you end up suicided.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. End up like one of them Jeffries that always die in jail. Dahmer, Epstein, all the Jeffries die.
Jeffries.
Yeah, I would go, let's see, in order, divorce attorney. No, I'm kidding. I'd keep my wife. She's not sure she'd keep me, and I don't think she was kidding, but I'd keep her. She's like, sure. I'm like, that wasn't very convincing. But yeah, I definitely would be, just probably buy an even nicer home in, around where we live, and then definitely a vacation home somewhere. And when you say what would I do, this is all just what my wife would do. Because that's what we would do. So you're like, oh really? You like it in the Cape? You want to buy a home there? Like, not at all. I get sand up my ass when we go there. I hate it. But that's where we're going to buy the vacation home if we come into $50 million. For me, I'd probably buy like a nice SUV. I think the vehicle you would buy changes over the course of years when you dream about that.
Yes.
And it's very telling. Like if you're still like a Lamborghini Countach from 1987, like if you're 50 years old, it's like you probably should have evolved.
Yeah.
I know which way you voted. But yeah, nice car and the rest, probably just a big mountain of cocaine. No. Yeah, I think I would do like practical stuff with some of it too. I mean, I'd definitely party, and have fun, not with the cocaine, but go place, go vacation, all that stuff. But I think in terms of like what I would do with the money to make it work for me, in addition to having like a philanthropic endeavor, I would also, definitely open probably like a comedy club, and then hire really, really good people and make it awesome. with really good managers that I trust so that I don't really have to do shit, but show up and be like, who's going on today? Jim Gaffigan? I'm opening for him.
Yeah.
What would you call your comedy club?
Oh, that's a good question. Wow, that's one thing I never thought out. This business plan sucks.
There are just time to watch. Put the name of the place, and then you're just like, oh, I can't.
Untitled comedy club.
I feel like you should call it Killers.
Killers?
Is there a club called Killers already?
There probably is. I don't know. Maybe there is. I don't know. I didn't mean to shit on your idea.
Untitled.
Jordan's like, this is an amazing original idea. And I'm like, maybe it's not.
Call it Gaffigans. Jim
That's
Gaffigan always
okay.
might be.
I do that to him all the time.
Yeah.
She
I don't
really
know what I would call it. I think, I think names are tough too, because it's like, I wouldn't, you don't want a business name to just sound like every other one and be cheesy, but you also kind of want to indicate what the place is in the title,
Yeah.
So comedy clubs always have those names like, the Ha Ha Club and, Flappers and, Wisecrackers. So, I'd figure something out. Let me come up with one on the spot. Ready? How about the, the first thing I thought was Funny Bone. There's a whole franchise of Funny Bone. That's just like...
That is a good name, though.
Yeah. Tickle My Scrotum. There's probably none of those.
Probably not. I don't think so.
Scrotum tickle.
Women will be like, can we come in, or how does that work? Yeah, you can work here too. Whatever. It's so mad genderly.
Yeah.
Do you give your not so great advice that people shouldn't take on your podcast? You have
So I started a podcast out of like 2 episodes, and then I've kind of paused it. So I definitely want to get back into that. So maybe this will with all your listeners, they'll start listening. But in a couple weeks I should have next episode out. It's called Ask Wendel, and that's kind of the idea of it, is to have an interview with somebody, and where we take some questions from folks that send them in, or some of our millions of viewers, and or billions of viewers,
Millions.
Ask like some advice, and then to give some some serious and some tongue-in-cheek advice too. Kind of keep it fun, but because I can't be serious for too long, it's a malady that I have. I don't know why.
Yeah,
I can't. I have a I have to try hard. It's like the default is to be silly,
gotcha.
So it's work to stay on the tightrope of seriousness.
Yeah, what's the longest you think you can go serious? Be serious without?
It's so hard. Like right now, you have a laser pointer right on your. I don't know what to do about that.
There's snipers everywhere.
There's like snipers in the wall. I know you can't see this.
Can you be serious through an entire funeral?
I don't go to them because I don't trust.
What don't you trust?
Depends who died.
That's true.
If it's someone I'm like not very close to, and I'm just like a friend of a friend, and it's like, I'm not going, man. I'm just gonna crack some shit up, But if it's like, if Mom died, I'd probably be like, all right, I should swing by,
Just drive by.
I love you, Mom. Later. Time to go
flowers.
Face. Yeah,
right. Flowers up the window.
I think serious, something like that. Yeah. And again, just from years of having a day job and having to have meetings and be serious, and even there, if there's the least little bit of opening or leeway, and even when there's not really, I'll go, make comments and be goofy. But I could hold together for a little while. Like hours, not like days. I wouldn't be able to, I couldn't go away for like a week and be like filmed, and that would be a good reality show, right? Be like, let's see how long these goofy ass comedians can be serious. And they just film you all the time, and you're like trying not to crack up, and they're trying to make each other laugh by saying serious stuff that's subliminally designed to make you laugh. And
That's
you
a
can
good
have
idea.
that. You guys, LNH studio, go make that, please.
Oh wow!
Cool. Yes.
Give me
You want to be an executive producer?
Yes, please. Please give me points.
All right, we'll call the show Tickling the Scrotum.
That's my luck too. You'll go make millions over, and you'll be like, we have him giving it to us for free on the recording. Like Your Honor, he is entitled to nothing, and we shall make sure he maintains it.
Yep. All right. Here's my own. We're talking.
Hey, I said don't follow my bad advice.
Right.
This is my own bad.
Gotta learn.
You kind of are a reality TV star, though, at this point, right? You have one of the most watched episodes of a reality TV show. Is that true?
I mean, that's what I've heard, and I would definitely say that, using the word star so frivolously,
Frivolously?
Frivolously.
Why is that word hard to say? That's not a...
Get this man sparkling lemon water!
Frivolously.
Yeah, you got
it's
it.
a little, it's not saying cat, but
Turns out not. No.
But thank you. I just totally gave myself permission to fuck that up since no one else did. Everyone else was like, "That's weird that you fucked that up."
It was pretty frivolous.
But yeah, I mean, I certainly didn't star, but I was in a blink of an eye on an episode of 90 Day Fiancé where I officiated a wedding on season 7, I think. For those looking back, and I think it was like a few million. Viewers, so that I want to try to make that like it's funny because I want to try to make that sound as impressive as possible in certain situations. Like, hi, I would like to work at your comedy club. You may have seen me on TV, as did 3.2 million other people.
Yeah.
They'll be like, "What was it? Comedy Central?" Be like, I officiated a wedding.
How did that happen? What was that process? How did you?
How did that all happen? So I got into officiating weddings because I quit/lost my job early in 2019, just before the pandemic, which is a great time to lose a job. And it's just like stay lost job. So as I was collecting the 14 cents that unemployment gives you, by the way, I was collecting North Carolina unemployment because that's where I had been working, which is less than New York. So I was like, oh, good. I get like 3 something a week for like 1 minute. And they're like, no, now you're going to be homeless. But so while that all happened, I was like, I need to find some kind of side gig, just something to do, make a little cash while I've got this while I'm interviewing for jobs and all that. So, I got ordained, got into officiating weddings, and it just kind of took off, for people that are looking for I'm not the only comedian that does it, but definitely fit a niche, a frivolously niche.
Niche.
Every time I say that word, I say it both ways, niche and niche, because I never know.
Depends who you're with, I guess.
It depends who you're with.
Yeah, if you're with your niche, then you say niche.
So I say both, because I'm not racist. Yeah. So I'm going to be like, wow, really? You said niche? Are you being sensitive to our plight? And I'm like, I'm an ally, niche. So I started officiating weddings, and I was only like a few months into it, and I was, a little website advertising and all that, and I got a call from this couple that were interested in having like a funny ceremony, and then they said, and by the way, do you mind? We're filming it for reality show. Is that okay? I'm just like, yeah, I'm a comedian. I don't care. Yeah, film me all day long. La la la, film me. I'm a ham, So.
Wait, what episode was it? Because my sister and my mom were obsessed with this show, so they probably have seen you.
And I've definitely run into a lot of obsessed people, which is a weird thing. It's a weird experience. But oh yeah, you're on a show. I'm like,
wait, for real?
Yeah. And then I'm like,
it's a popular show.
Yeah,
where do we go with the conversation now?
How is it? How is that?
Then you marry them right then and there.
But it was season 7, like the finale or the second. I think it was the finale. I don't even know. That's how uninterested in my own life I am. I'm like, I think it was on TV. But
so that's fun.
Yeah. So to answer how that's I've had people who say they're casual fans of the show or like fanatical fans of the show. Which, by the way, I'd never even seen it or heard of it before they hired me. So when they told me what show it was, I was just like, oh, okay. And I told my wife, she's like, what? We'll be on what? Sorry, my wife's half black. That's my impression. What, child? But so I did it. Then that was it. It was like a couple weeks later. It wasn't much time to think about it. I had to sign a bunch of "I will never reveal the secrets of the show" type documentation, which I'm glad LNH here does not have, because I plan on revealing all that I've learned here today.
Oh, we hope you do.
We don't have an NDA. We just put everything public that we record here.
There you go.
Yeah.
That avoids all of it. So, anyway, so just did that, and it was, it was pretty cool. And then since then, people that are like real fanatics of the show, like super fans of the show, first of all, they come up to me and be like, oh my God, and this couple and that couple. And I tell them, like, I don't produce the show. Like, I don't watch the show. I don't know anything about the show. I was just, at a place for a couple hours. And I filmed it and then left. And then like all the rest of that happened, and then sometimes like, oh, we rewatched the episode last night because we knew you were coming today. Oh my God. And I'm just like, I don't know what to do. And it made me realize something, though. And this happens, every couple weeks or something, when I'm at a wedding or something, usually. But what I found out was, I always thought, like, if I'm going to be a comedian and do that, like, isn't the ultimate goal, if you're fortunate enough to get, like, really famous, what would that be like to be famous? And I realized, like, when someone just recognizes me like that, I'm so uncomfortable and I don't know what to know or say that I'm like, I'm probably better off never attaining any like real fame. That would be, I would not know what to do. It's just, you don't know what to say. So, oh my God, I saw you on the TV. And you're just like, yeah, I was on the TV.
Yeah, it's a very one-sided kind of relationship because like they have seen you for however many times that they've seen you, and you've never seen this person ever once in your life.
It's like someone coming to you with familiarity that you didn't, they didn't earn or whatever, right? Or you didn't see that, right? It's like, I don't know you. What are you? Yeah. True. So, and that's just, again, not celebrity, but just someone that recognizes me from that. It feels, so I'm just like, I don't want to get famous. Not that it was on in the cars, but it would be very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just going to take it back to comedy. For doing comedy for a decade, what are your thoughts on like it just how it was when you started and how it is now?
Yeah. So, and it's only like 10 years, but the way the world moves,
I feel like it's
different. It was like, you figure like even just 10 years ago, which would have been like, 2011 or whatever, like YouTube was less than 4 years old,
and very different.
Right? Yeah. And so it's like,
it's
totally different. So social media was still like, pretty much in its infancy, Facebook was still pretty new and, it was like MySpace time was just kind of ending. So it was a different time, but, I guess for me, my trajectory was kind of weird too, because I started off in the city. Like I was like, I'm going to go to the city. That's where it's at. That's where I did that class I did, and that's where I was going to go do open mics with other people, and then, try to go to clubs and get in and get passed at clubs, and just I figured I would do that. Mm-hmm. But then after a little while, it became like, you know what? I live outside of New York City. I'm married, kids. Like it's not easy, full-time job. Mm-hmm. It's not like easy. I got to drive into the city. It's like a whole multi-hour ordeal to do, a 10-minute spot somewhere or whatever. Mm-hmm. And even if you get passed or you're getting paid for a spot in a club, it's like you're getting like $25 and it cost me $50 to make the round trip.
Right.
So it was like, so after a while I was like, and then I had gotten a new job and got out of it for a while too. So that kind of put me on a different path. I just think in general, like now it's very much a combination for people of doing stand-up and then doing all the complementary or related social media stuff. Mm-hmm. Like that's such a big thing. Like back then it was, you'd maybe post something on Facebook or tweet something. That was it. You weren't even really putting videos on YouTube as much even then. So it was just pretty much about getting up and doing stand-up. And then other than that, it was TV, for comedy. So, not for me, but for others. But now it's like you get people who can do a little bit of stand-up, but if they're really good at all the other social media stuff and promotion, like you get. I've seen some. I follow some where I'm like, this person's like a very mediocre comedian. They have like 38,000 followers, and someone else who's like an outstanding comedian has like 6,000. And it's like one person's really able to kind of push that. Develop a fan base, and I think people now look to do that from day one, where back in the day it was like you established yourself first kind of on the street, and then you started developing that other stuff for people to see, outside of a club. But
does that hurt comedy or like the way that comedy is like?
Well, so the consumption of content has changed, just the way it's done and the amount of it that people want and the outlets and platforms for it, right? So there is a much bigger tolerance for mediocre content, because it's just like we need to consume so much content that it's okay if something's just okay. You can't see amazing content nonstop. There's just right. So it's like, so I think it's been watered down a little bit. So maybe in that sense it's not good, but just by having so much more quantity of comedic content in every form, it's just a matter of filing through and finding the good stuff, and then there's going to be a lot more of the upper, the top level of that too. So I think overall it's been good. I think the more laughter, the better. So the more good content. You have to, if you could get to where you wade through some of the crap or start to identify which comedians you like, and then all of a sudden now you have their YouTube channel and their and their podcasts and all the stuff where you can get more and more content that's specifically what you want in comedy or anything else. So, I think in that sense, it's good. Yeah. But it also keeps people from being at times exposed to other things if they're not, right? If they're like, oh, I like Tom Segura and Bert Kreischer and those guys, so I'm just going to spend all my time watching all their content, and then maybe never, learn unless someone really pushes it. Somebody else.
Yeah, because I thought with it, and I don't know how much is still this way now, but it was you'd go to a show and you'd probably go for one of the people, the headliner, but then you'd find new people along the way who were there, who were the opening act or the featured person, and do you feel like that is still intact? People do kind of get I don't know if discovered is the right word, but do you get the exposure from being on shows like that?
Yeah, I think that's still very similar to the way it was. I mean, there's still multiple comics that are going up. So in terms of live comedy, absolutely, that still can happen for people in terms of getting. And again, there's some cases where you can have a headlining comic who maybe has been around a while and maybe isn't super hot, but they're still a headlining comic because they were a big deal back in the day. And they may have a fairly limited, following now, but meanwhile, that opening comic, who's been maybe doing it for 6 years instead of 30 years, got right in on the ground floor with social media, and again might have more followers, might make more money than the headliner. Not doing stand up, but again from the combined other avenues they have. So so that happens too.
Yeah.
Do you think there's so much more? I don't know, magical comedy or impressive comedy that would come out if people didn't censor so much, or if people didn't immediately slap on cancel because he said this one thing, because obviously comedians also evolve as people.
Yeah.
They're not the same. You'd hope at least that they that they grow and change. Some people are still the same.
Some
but
do, some don't. Yeah, right.
Lamborghini!
I think it's great that you credit comedians for being people. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Also, John Wendell looks younger than when I met him.
Thank you. Oh, thanks.
They're just hitting on each other.
Yeah, I know.
Podcast.
He's he said so many things about my great looks. I better throw it. I gotta give him one back. Right? About the whole cancel culture thing. That's a great question. It's very topical. It's very current, right?
It's what the kids want.
Kids are talking about today, man. Don't cancel me, bro.
Culture.
Right, and it's I think it depends on the person. If somebody's intimidated by that, or they're, all of it back to lying on the couch for people. It's what are your sensibilities that move you or motivate you? If you're someone who's worried about, being looked down on, and as a comedian, in a way we are, but I think most of us are more worried about that in terms of how good our act is, not so much how we are morally as people on stage, because it's an art, but I think so people who are a little more bulletproof on that kind of thing, or don't get affected by as much, aren't going to get worried. So there's me. My thing is I would never worry about being canceled, because I stand behind my morality, and I can at times even separate it. Although I find it challenging, in the same token, to try to find the line. To try to it's not everybody's style, but to try to find that line of just how far can I push a topic or a subject to where it's funnier than it is, it's funnier than it is that crossing the line, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so it's and sometimes you got to cross the line to figure that out. You're okay, that crossed the line.
Right.
That made even the Trumpers in here uncomfortable, so I got to, rethink it. But, and then you drag it back a little bit, and you find, okay, this is where, I allude to the subject matter, but I don't say it, and then we all laugh about it and move on, and it's funny. But I think in terms of people and the whole cancel thing, I think it, in some cases it probably has intimidated some people. And that's fair if there's somebody that's intimidated by the threat of cancel. But I think comedy, depending on maybe not if you're a ventriloquist or do knock jokes, but if you're a version of yourself more or less on stage, and an observational comic like probably most of us are, I think that your stage persona is it is a version of you. It is a expression of yourself, an artistic expression of yourself and your own morality and all that stuff. So if you word something in a way that exposes your morality and then you get canceled for that, and it's in line with what your actual morality is, then you probably should have gotten canceled.
That's fair, yeah.
Right? But if not, if it's just like, no, look, I'm trying to make a joke about this thing. I'm not one of those people who think that, and then you're going to get, quote unquote canceled for that, then that I think you have to stand up for as a comedian and not fear. And when you're, when it's like, and I've had arguments with debates, healthy debates with my wife on that, because she's like, she makes your wokeness level look asleep. She's so woke, you guys are coma. No, and then sometimes I almost have to reel in the woke. I'm woke too, but like she's super woke. So like there's times where I almost try to just step it back and just say like, hey, can someone say a sentence that we just listen to for a moment before we attach all these biases to it? Because if the point of being woke is to understand and evolve from what biases cause us to do, then maybe it's wise to not bring those biases into what you're talking about or listening to. So anyway, but I think the same thing happens in comedy, but it's like, I fear not. I'll say something, if I were to say something, blatantly whatever, it could be racist, sexist, anything like that. But if it's more mean-spirited than it is funny, or it's not redeeming, or in any way, then yeah, that's you can't. It's like Eddie Murphy. You can't do Eddie Murphy's act from the 80s right now.
Right.
I went back and watched it like 6 months ago. I watched Delirious and Raw back to back with my wife, and we were just like, wow, this is so cringe.
Yeah.
And like half of it at least.
Right.
That's the ice cream part's funny and all that. But,
Who do you
violent man-on-man rape is, not as big nowadays.
Yeah. And that was, and like for some people, still is considered like one of the greatest stand-up specials of all time.
And it was in line with its time, which I think is the thing. You can look back and say, you're not guilty for what you did then, but you're guilty now if you think that's okay.
Right.
You must look back and go, a lot of that stuff then wasn't okay then either, but we didn't know any better. And so we were victims in a sense of our own time.
Yeah.
But now that we've evolved past that, we can sort of forgive that and move on. So I think that's important.
True.
To evolve.
Yeah. Just going to revisit this challenge. If you want to add anything to the list.
We're on the chat. We got so serious. I guess it's serious too.
Look how long you're serious.
College?
Wow.
I know.
Yeah, it's kind of.
You tricked me. It made me be serious about comedy. So that's one subject, right?
The one subject you have to take.
We're just
serious
young
about.
people just hanging out, smoking a bong, having some ginger candies.
Yeah, and then you're like, tell us what you think of Gatsukote. Why did you Yeah, I don't know. How many more? Let's see the list.
Do you want to know how many you have so far?
Yeah.
24.
I counted them already because you were ready for that. 24. Oh, so
We've done a lot of episodes of these.
I think I'm missing like, what are like 30, 20?
I think 30, yeah.
20 or 30, right? So, let me see what I can do on that list. So we were in Ohio. I'm going to put that down. I'm going to go. There's no one in New Orleans, Texas, Arizona, California. I'm just going to name all states. I
that was
can't
Jordan's
believe
very first challenge.
Yeah, our first episode. Yeah, it was Jordan named 50 states.
All 50 states. Yeah, there's always a couple that you miss, man.
Those middle ones, man. They're called flyover for a reason.
I could do it a lot better now that I've spent some time. I spent a couple of years like living in the South and during the week and working in a few different states and like.
Yeah.
So now I could do it better than I would have before that. But back then I'd be like, I don't know where Mississippi is. Is it in Montana?
I took a global film class and on the first day the teacher gives us a map of the United States and she was like, label as many these states as you can. I just like saw her enjoying watching us all struggle to get. And I think only like 5 people got every single state in the exact right spot.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's tough. Yeah. Ooh, White Sox and the Cubs.
Yeah.
Chicago. Some Chi-Town, some love.
Yeah. Do you hate any of these teams? Like deep in your heart, do you have any?
I mean, when I was younger, I hated the Yankees because I was a Mets fan and living in the shadows of the
fuck 'em.
storied Yankees.
As you said, living in the shadows. You guys were still there, so it's okay.
No, I as much.
We had to. If people don't know what they're listening, there's Jordan and John are Mets fans. and Brendan and I are Yankees fans. Just to clarify for people if they're not, because people don't know sometimes.
It's very important that we establish that.
Yeah.
It is very important.
Yankees fans like to establish it quicker than Mets fans.
We definitely do.
Yeah, that's fine.
As long as we all hate the Red Sox, then it's okay.
Look, it's like you have a lot of kids, we have a couple of kids. Those championships are special to us. You can't even keep track of all yours. Right?
It's true. It's like 28, 29, 30. Oh, who even knows at this point?
Right?
It's just fun.
Yet, man. That was from your previous marriage, Mom.
Yeah. You got a championship too, and it was in the peak of your life.
The Mets?
Not the peak of your life, but it was in the glory days.
He's like, you're so old, I assume it was somewhere in the middle of your life. What's old like? 86, yeah. 19, I'll never forget that. Yeah, I just turned 13, man. The Mets won the World Series. And
life is good.
That was a quick, great story, too, because the day after the Mets won the World Series, and I had like no voice, and neither did my dad from screaming at the TV. And so the next day I wake up and I walk in the kitchen or whatever, and my dad's there, and I was wondering why he wasn't going to work. And he just looked at me and he was like, I don't know if it probably wasn't the next day. It was probably like days later, but in my mind it was the next day. So it was days later, I wake up and he's like, you're not going to school. We're going to the ticker tape parade, in the city, which was like awesome.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I was like, whoa, that's score one for Dad in that column. So we got on a train on the LIRR.
Yeah.
And it was so packed that we're like halfway to the city, and the dude comes on. The dude. I assume that's.
Everyone is the title. On your train.
This is a train, dude. So the dude comes on the train. It would be funny if it was like the dude from The Big Lebowski.
Yeah,
the train abides, man.
He's like, hey man, we're on the track and like, let's just relax, man.
We only got one way to go. That's forward.
I'm taking this rug, but
really tied the train together.
Yeah, I mean, like Tara Reid was there and a pole. Philip Seymour Hoffman undercasted. But yeah, so halfway there, the dude comes on the train. He's like, congratulations, Mets fan. This train ride is free. So because it was, and the reason was because the conductors couldn't walk through the car. They were just filled with people. They were not big on capacity. They looked like a Tokyo train. It was like jamming people in there. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And I remember smelling weed in the city for the first time.
Oh, wow.
I smelled like a waft of weed, and I was like,
how old were you?
I was like, I was like just turned 13, and I remember thinking like, why does the city smell like Daddy's sock drawer? That's weird. It smells like those herbs you keep hidden that you told me not to touch, Mom. But yeah, that was cool. It was a good time.
Yeah. No, it feels good when your team wins. It feels good to be like a part of the celebration.
Hell yeah, especially when they don't win that often.
Yeah.
Mets.
Wait, so your dad definitely smoked marijuana?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
how about your mom?
He was from the 60s. I think she did when she was younger. Yeah. Yeah, they were, they got together in like 1970. My dad was in Vietnam, that whole thing, and came back and grew his hair long and thought he was a hippie for a couple of years. So. But yeah, definitely partook.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I definitely look back on try to think back on memories, and I'm like, there's a lot of times I smelled skunks outside, and I wonder how many times there was really skunks outside.
Yeah. Now it's like kids will not know what that's like because it's just it's everywhere. You just walk, especially in the city. Like I've been in the city a bunch of times since it's been legalized, and it's even more, which is actually almost surprising because like it was like nobody was getting arrested, for smoking a joint in the city a month before it got, legalized. But I noticed a difference. It was like right away. Yeah, we were there on 420, like because we had we had a meeting and we were just like walking through it, and it was just like a weed festival in Washington Square Park. Yeah, everywhere. Yeah. So it's good and bad in a sense because it's like even things you enjoy. Like I don't want to always smell pizza. I love pizza. I don't want it always in my face, like at all times. Like sometimes I want fresh air.
Getting to the pizza part of the podcast.
That's a good craving. So now you have 26 on your list.
I have 26 on the list.
Mm-hmm.
How did I forget? Oh, it's just. I mean, I know.
I mean, you can end it whenever you feel comfortable.
We'll be here till midnight. I got Illinois. I got what else in the flyover states? There's nothing going on. I got PA. We nailed PA. Mm. Carolinas. I feel so now. I have 26. So I got so the last two that I got. Did I say the Seattle Mariners? Did I get them?
I don't think so.
No.
All right, the Mariners.
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, no.
Also, I was talking fast at one point and blamed the note taker.
Blame the PA.
Yeah, PA, you already fucked up enough today.
Yeah, you're fired.
Yeah, but then you're rehired because we need you to work for us. Thank you, PA.
Yeah, for $0.
Yeah, so
you're getting experience.
Right? This is a great experience. It's going to help your career. Yeah, maybe I said the Red Sox, Boston Red Sox. Mm-hmm. We got the Mets and Yankees. We got, let me just a couple more seconds. It's going to hurt because I'm probably going to end up having to give up on it. I wonder if it's National or American League, man. Mm-hmm. Minnesota Twins. Did I say that?
No, you didn't.
Okay.
Well, yeah. There's not, yeah.
Milwaukee Brewers I got. Right?
You did, yeah. The Brewers you got.
Minnesota Twins. I'm up to 28 now?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 30 for sure?
Yeah, I believe they're for Major League.
And then there's 90 minor league.
I wasn't going to look it up. I was just going to ask Siri how many Major League teams there are.
Allowed.
But, all right, I'll leave it right. Oh, minor league teams I can do too?
Oh, hell yeah.
All right, let me throw a few minor league teams on that. So I can at least go through the Mets, like the St. Lucie Mets, the Savannah Gnats, Gnats, Gnats. That's a word that I learned to spell embarrassingly late in life. About 40 years old.
Really, what's that G doing?
It's a tricky one,
right?
There's no point.
I was out for a walk getting attacked by gnats, so I texted my wife at the time, like NATS, and she's like, LOL. And I'm like, what? I don't know how to spell it. She's like, GNATS, and it blew my mind. But anyway, where does silent G come from?
Yeah.
Why didn't no one ever cover that in school? I was out that day. So the Binghamton Mets is their AA affiliate. They have the Brooklyn Cyclones. Mm-hmm. We have the let's see. The Yankees have the they have a Trenton team. Is it? But I don't know. Are they just the Trenton Yankees?
I know there's a Trenton team. I don't know whether they're Yankees or not.
John's gonna check on that.
There you go. We're gonna go to judges. We will not write it down.
Right? Yep, until we get a final.
The integrity of this game will not be impeached.
Nah, there is no team named the Trenton Yankees.
Or the Bruins, or the Trenton Bears, or something like that, or the Bulldogs, or the Trenton Bullets.
Just name it.
Animals, yeah.
The Badgers, the Gnat. No, there's no.
The Trenton
Gnats. The Gnats.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that, like, if I really, it's funny because I was way more into baseball probably 20 years ago. And I would have had, like, even minor leagues, I probably would have had another, like, 30, teams that I could name. And
too bad you can't call past John Wendel.
The Yankees
I call young John.
The Yankees actually left Trenton.
Oh, see? So, see, like I said, I can name old.
Does that count?
How about the Hudson Valley Renegades? The Hudson Valley Renegades.
Yes, that Renegades are a team, yep.
Do they still exist?
Renegades
baseball.
Going to a minor league game is like fun in a different way than going to a major league game.
Yeah.
Major league, it's like epic, and then usually like it's like pretty packed for the most part. Unless you go like on like a really like bad game, but like when you go to a minor league game, it's like it's either not really that packed or it's packed with like these like crazy diehard fans who like dress up and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's right. Super minor league fans are like almost a little strange, right?
Yeah.
It's like, how are you into something that only 4,000 other people even know about? It's like having an obscure singer that you just love. Like, who? But I'll just, you know what? I've given it the old college try, and I'm willing to step away.
Well, yeah, you ended on 33.
Is it a solid
fantastic.
number?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a double.
I mean, if I was like one from the record or something, I'd be like, let me check. But
I don't think anyone's gotten 33 before, so.
You're the first 33?
The first 33.
First 33 for baseball.
Yes.
You're like 67 from the record or something. I don't even
Yeah.
You're 33 away from the negative record, though. So.
Oh well.
I'd love to know who I missed in Major League Baseball, though. That's
For the teams?
yeah.
Well, the PA text you.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I'm allowed.
Yeah,
to
don't
look.
look.
No. You're allowed to look at it once
Was-
we sign off, but we do want to thank you for coming on the show. It was such a pleasure.
Thanks for having me. It's such a pleasure being
Any
here.
last thoughts you'd like to leave the folks?
No, I feel like I've been able to get a lot off my chest, and that I'll continue coming to see you.
It is a session with Mary Jane.
You know?
It's a session, exactly. Yes.
Mary Jane, I'm not sure if she's licensed, but a good therapist nonetheless. So yeah, no, thanks.
Well,
for
you're
having me.
licensed enough for both her
Sure.
and yourself. So.
Yeah, I could print the license off if you'd like.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
So I hang the credentials when people come in here. I'm like, the doctor will see you now.
Yeah. No, it's been great being here, and yeah, thanks for having me, guys. And if anybody's in the Connecticut area, I'm usually at Foxwoods Casino performing stand-up about once or twice a month. Next time is September 17th. Come check me out there. Or, keep watching reality TV. You never know when I'll pop up.
You're the ongoing cameo that could be in any wedding situation. John Wendel might be there.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for listening. We also just keep on following all LNH and late night hump stuff. You know where to find us with both those tags. We have the morning shower coming back. It's going to make a return tomorrow. So we are going to get up butt-ass early and do the morning shower podcast. Give you some daily news jokes to get your day started right.
It's back, and we have Weedman's Joint for second and third Wednesday of the month. And yeah, check out our website, lnhstudios.com/shows.
Bye.
Love you.
Love you too. So sexy.